Why is it that county councils' farms are anything but secure at the moment?
Right, very recently, just after the Rural White Paper was published, the government wrote within that paper that the county council had the option of receiving 90% of any income from the sales of county council small holdings. And because of that, obviously councils are going to be encouraged to sell, whereas previously they perhaps would have kept them as an asset.
But surely they're selling because they need the money, and very many cases for very good causes, other rural projects, for instance.
That's right, I certainly wouldn't argue against that, and I think anybody, farmers, like all people who live within the community, have children, and we certainly don't want to get in the way of education, and I realise that education is one of the main purposes for which county councils are needing this money. However, I think it's also important to look very long term, and this is an issue which really hangs back to the farming ladder, which is a system where people can get into farming, often through this route, and then progress up through their farming career.
But then it's a question of priorities, isn't it? You're looking after the needs of a comparatively small number of people. You're looking after farmers.
Yes.
And you've got to weigh them up against a larger number of people who've got greater needs.
Although that's true, obviously I'm here today speaking on behalf of the NFU, which is a trade association. However, county council small holdings have always been more than just an opportunity for that individual. They've always been based on other issues, and I think the new farming legislation, the farm business tendencies that we, the NFU, help push through, is an opportunity for county councils, instead of selling, is to broaden the opportunities that are created by these holdings, and that may well be environmental or public access or education, and these are all areas where in fact the vast majority of people could gain from these farms.
So you're saying they should let them?
They should certainly continue to let them, and obviously any lettings would be under the new legislation, which opens up a whole new raft of opportunities.
But it doesn't bring more money, does it?
No, it doesn't. Obviously county councils are short of money, but I think that there are other opportunities, and we don't mind them selling land specifically for development, and often these farms are in development areas, as long as they replace the land with other cheaper land and use the difference for things like education.
That's going to be quite difficult though, because obviously there's a limited amount of land available. You're just going to run out, aren't you?
Certainly they've stopped making land, that's true enough, but I think it is very important to keep these county council small holdings within neat blocks and to run them as businesses.
So briefly, what do you want to see in the very short term to work towards the long term?
Right, I think we need rungs put back in the farming ladders. I think that government wants to reconsider this Rural White Paper initiative on the selling of farms, and basically we, the NFU, will be coming forward very shortly with a new entrance policy which will also help young people get into the farming industry.
Ian Brown, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Ian, prices have risen 9% in the first 3 months of this year. Why is that when, after all, house prices aren't showing the same rise?
That's right. It doesn't surprise me that it has been as high as 9%. It would be true that in many sectors of the industry there has been quite a bit of optimism over that period about the future of farming, and really land prices are linked to that profitability.
Is it the same all over the country?
No, obviously it does vary as you go around the country, but I think one of the important issues that have come out of these facts is the situation of a new entrant. It's very difficult to get into the agricultural industry because it's such a capital intensive industry to get into.
What about, though, the effect of BSE on land prices? You'd think that would have the opposite effect.
That's right. I mean, certainly that's why I said sort of over the period that the survey looked at, it wouldn't be surprising to find that next year's figures in those areas which are very much beef orientated are in fact down, because obviously the optimism of those particular farmers has been very severely damaged by what has been a terrible crisis.
If land prices are going up, isn't it really making it the richer richer and the poorer poorer, because, as you say, they can't get in very easily at the bottom levels?
I mean, land's always split between tenanted and freehold, but certainly many farmers who own substantial block of land tend to be very capital rich but cash poor, and certainly having a lot of assets doesn't necessarily mean that they have a lot of money in their pockets.
So how do you think it's going to go for the rest of this year?
Very difficult to tell. I mean, certainly those areas and those particular farms which are involved with enterprises where profitability is still rising, we would obviously expect the land related to those enterprises to continue to rise.
Does it mean that we're going to see expanding farms if the money's there for the farmers to expand their farms?
That's certainly one pressure that will be brought on, and I think the situation always is and always has been that the size of farms is continuing to grow, and the main reason for that is efficiency. Farmers want to get their overheads down and therefore profitability up.
Ian Brown, thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.